What do we do with pagan holidays and family traditions?
The Fresh Church Podcast.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Fresh Church Podcast, a place where we take innovative ingredients with time-honored disciplines and we fuse them together to create a ministry model that actually works, a fresh ministry. Hey, if we haven't met, hi, I'm Pastor Tony Kensinger. Do me a favor, go ahead and follow us. Every week we put out a podcast, and I would love for you to be part of the conversation. So on today's show, I want to ask the question, why are family traditions more important than pagan holidays? That's right. We're going to get into it today. We're entering that holiday season. Let's see, this next week, we're going to see kids all dressed up in all kinds of crazy, fun, and scary costumes, going house to house, begging people for all their money. Candy. Okay, we call it Halloween. Some churches turn it into an outreach event with trunk or treat or harvest parties. Some college students all smart and saying, Happy Reformation Day. And then there are a whole bunch of social media posts out there about how can we celebrate Halloween? This is the devil's holiday. It's the worst day of the year. Look how evil it is. Churches are evil for even talking about it. And there's some truth in it, but how far do we go? What do we do with this whole pagan holiday thing? Is it good? Is it bad? Is there an alternative? Should we avoid the appearance of evil or take what's meant for evil and turn it into good? By the way, both those verses I took completely out of context, yet we use them all the time as if they're supposed to help our cause. What do we do with pagan holidays and family traditions? You see, next month in America, we celebrate Thanksgiving. You remember Thanksgiving, right? The place where people came for their religious independence from Europe. And they came and they discovered America. In year 2, they shot all the natives. Yeah, that's a great holiday to celebrate. Okay, what about holidays like Christmas, New Year's, Easter, Independence Day? Out of those, the little holidays, right? St. Patrick's Day, Valentine's Day, Memorial Day, Labor Day. Let's not forget birthdays and anniversaries and other days that your family celebrates. There are so many holidays and celebrations throughout the year. And there's always someone who reminds us where these roots come from and how there's some good and there's some evil. So what do we do with all this information? What do we do with the struggle of family traditions and pagan holidays? Well, let me start by saying, quit giving your opinion on social media. Nobody got saved because you went off on a rant on social media on your opinion of a particular holiday. Nothing good ever comes out of that. Let me give you an example. If you were to go online right now and say, as a Christian, you need to support Arbor Day, and then a few minutes later, go online and post, Christians should have nothing to do with Arbor Day. It's evil. You're going, I don't even know what Arbor Day is. Plant a tree. Is it good? Is it bad? There are people who will jump online and argue with you just for the sake of arguing. And there's that one guy, he's going to argue with both posts. Two different views on it just because he likes doing it. Church, we got to stop getting so hung up on these little details and share the love of Jesus. But specifically, my question today is, why are family traditions more important than pagan holidays? That's the purpose of today's podcast. So let's get into it. We're going to talk about holidays. I might even mention a few that you love and a few that you hate. But more importantly, we're going to talk about family traditions. You see, family is one of the cores of fresh family relationship experience, safety, and hope. And you can go online at www.freshman.org and find out more about that. We believe that our role as part of the church is to help families, both when they come to church and when they're at home, when they're not here, that they become part of our family as a church and that we celebrate accordingly. So in the midst of all the drama regarding holidays and the pagan roots, where they all come from, I must say it makes celebrating any kind of family tradition kind of a landmine, especially in church world. Do we discuss it? Do we not discuss it? Do we bring it up? Are we going to get in trouble? Even as simple as Mother's Day, Father's Day, Grandparents' Day, are those things we talk about? Well, let me start by saying you need family traditions. It creates social structures and even helps with the identity of the individuals in the home. Now, I'm not sure what your past is. We all have different past, different things that we remember. Some of you may have some traditions that you've hung on to over the years. Some of you might have come from a home that had no traditions. Maybe you came from a situation that there was nothing that you remember from your past or things that you want to keep doing from your past. Maybe if you're married, you've had to intertwine different traditions together or create traditions specifically for your family. Well, let me encourage you as a church leader and as a pastor, I want to encourage you to help the people in your church to start creating their own family traditions. But we go too much farther. I want to point out that the Bible is filled with Jewish religious festivals, celebrations, and holidays. These are times that they would remember and celebrate what God did for his people. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of Passover, which is celebrated the deliverance from Egypt, Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. You've got Purim from the book of Esther, and Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights, which is when the Maccabees rededicated the temple. And of course, there's more and more of these. And you can learn from these. I would encourage you to study those Jewish holidays and maybe bring some of them into your own family. There's a meaning behind these events. It's not just a family party. Jesus was involved in these kind of festivals. Jesus engaged in them with his family. They were important to him, his culture, and the family around him. They celebrated God's promises of things that God had done and that was still to come. It often had extended family or the community that was there. Sometimes they would travel to a different location to celebrate God. They would do things a little bit differently as they remember and celebrated what God did. They had a family experience. And then even Jesus, as he participated in that, he made some tweaks to him with a new covenant. He gave Passover and Pentecost a completely different look, right? I mean, he became the Passover lamb, and then we celebrate Resurrection Sunday. Pentecost became when the Holy Spirit filled us up. And even if you look as simple as he changed the early church changed from worshiping on Saturday or Shabbat to the first day of the week. We celebrate now on Sunday. What about this? Additionally, Jesus challenged his disciples that as often as they meet to take communion, to remember him, the bread, the cup, which is a symbol of the new covenant. Okay, it wasn't just a once a year Passover anymore. It was an ongoing way to remember who Jesus is, a family tradition. So as we look into family traditions, we must incorporate religious elements within them as well. As a family, we have traditions of going to church. Okay, maybe your family does that, where you go to church on Sunday or maybe a different day of the week, and you celebrate what Jesus has done, and you learn things, and you sit through a service, whatever that looks like. Maybe you pray before bed, or you pray at your meals, or you pray before you go to school or work in the morning. Maybe you do a family devotional time. Those are all family traditions that are really good. You know, my family started a new tradition where whenever we get together with the in-laws and have a big family dinner, we do communion. Okay, we want to do exactly what Jesus said, to do it in remembrance of him and remind ourselves of the life that we now have because of that new covenant. Now, doesn't that sound a little bit legalistic? No, it doesn't determine whether I'm going to go to heaven or hell, but it does create a tradition that helps us remember who God is and what he's done for us. And let's see, yearly, we remember things like Jesus' birth, his death, and resurrection. We celebrate those things. All right, so what about Halloween, Easter, and Christmas? Aren't they filled with all kinds of pagan elements? Well, before we move on to the big holidays, let's talk about some of the other family traditions that you can do, okay, and that you can encourage the people in your church to do. What about cooking dinner together? Maybe one night of the week is family dinner night, and we all come together and we help with cooking and cleaning afterwards. Maybe as simple as, hey, we do meals together. We sit down and eat dinner together. My family had that growing up. We continued that after I got married. Family dinners are a big deal in our house. It's a tradition. Okay, and if you don't have a tradition, you need to make one around food because we eat a lot of food. How about something like this? We have started with a tradition of attending local high school basketball games. Now, we do that with my wife's mother and father. He was a basketball star here 60 years ago. It was his gym that he played in. I don't know any of the kids on the field or on the court. I don't know their names or anything about them. I know the coach's name, but I've never had a conversation with him. But we go to every game. Not just that, we have season tickets. We've even purchased chairs that we sit in. These are our special chairs we sit in every week. This is a tradition. Every Tuesday and Friday night, we go and we cheer on the local team. Because someday we're going to look back on that and have great memories of spending time with Papa. He's not always going to be with us, But this tradition, this time of that snack stand food, of cheering, of getting up and yelling for kids we don't even know who they are, is now a tradition in our home. So let's change it up a little bit. I mean, we live in a world that encourages you not to do things together, right? To not spend time together. I mean, even if you're together in the same room, everybody's on their own device. They're on their own media platform, computers, television, cell phones, whatever the case is. There's things that distract us. I always think it's interesting when I go to a restaurant and I look at somebody who's having a date night, and you can tell they're married and been together for a few years because they're both staring at their phone and they're not talking to each other. They're not interacting together. They're on a date with their phone. They just happen to be in the same restaurant together. Sometimes families can feel that way. Hey guys, how come we're not talking? Oh, because we're distracted by the things around us. Well, then use media to your advantage. I mean, do a family movie night, right? Do a game night that incorporates media aspects to it. Do a scavenger hunt in one of these great big box stores. We did a scavenger one time. We split up the kids and we said, you've got to take a picture of something all the way through the alphabet, A through Z, in order. And that picture has to come to us, part of a brand, part of a name, somewhere on there. And we split them up, and we put a kid in the shopping cart and the other one pushed them, and they went down aisles. And I'm surprised we didn't get in trouble, to be honest, but we just took pictures all the way through the store, and we'd send them to each other to make sure we were keeping track of it all. And in the end, I don't even remember who won, but we had a lot of fun with our phones. Here's something else you can do. Maybe you can actually talk with each other about, hey, what'd you see this week? What reels or what shorts did you watch that you enjoyed? How about this? One time we played hide and go seek at a zoo. We used the zoo's app on our phone, and we turned on our location aspect so we could see where each other were, and we split up, and then we tried to catch each other. Okay, and every time you check your app, it would repopulate and show people where they were, and we're trying to find each other until eventually everybody had been caught. We knew what was going on. We had fun with our devices, and we took pictures along the way. Beyond that, sometimes we just put those devices away. Hey guys, let's put our phones away. Let's just talk for a little bit. Let's have a great conversation. All right, let's move on. There's some yearly traditions that I would highly recommend that you do it. Oh, finally, we're going to talk about those pagan holidays. Not quite yet. You see, we decided as a family that every year we're going to attend a family Bible camp together. Every June, we travel to Mount Hermon, California. We've been doing this for over a decade. We have an incredible week together as a family. I mean, on a basic level, we don't have to cook or do our dishes. We get to spend time having fun together. We get to play in the field house and zip line through the forest. There's stuff for kids at each one of their ages. We get to hear great lessons from the Bible and great preachers. And there's a little bookstore there we can go through. And there's a coffee shop and all the fun elements of it. We get to hang out with some old friends. We get to make some new friends. We get to connect with people. We get to have a long road trip to get out there and spend time together and be in the redwoods and enjoy the warmth of the day and the cool of the evening. We go down to the beach one day and we can do the amusement rides on there or just walk along the edge of the water and enjoy our time there. Sometimes during that week, we spend time just reflecting what the last year looked like, what the next year could look like. God, what do you want that to look like? As we spend time in individual devotions and prayer, as we spend time listening to God up on the mountain, family camp. You see, those are fun times for us. We laugh, we cry, we celebrate, and we go back year after year after year to have those kind of family connections. Pastors, I want to encourage you that your family needs to do that, and you need to encourage people in your church to do that. In fact, we've got some of our labs that talk about the importance of pulling family into those kind of events, and you can find out more about our academies and our Fresh Labs. Check them out on www.freshman.org. And I want to encourage you to take that yearly time and get away and spend time with God as a family. Besides that, we go on a family vacation together. Yeah, Bible camp's different than family vacation. We go somewhere, and usually that's going to a couple national parks. We go on a long road trip. We've got a playlist that we sing along to with some of our favorite road trip songs. When we get done, my wife scrapbooks it. We talk about it. This is some of our favorite memories over the years, are these crazy trips where we've just decided to go around the country, go visit new places, go see new things, different kinds of parts and different ways that they act in different cities and different people groups. And it's just fun. Church leader, I want to challenge you. When's the last time you encouraged one of your volunteers, your key volunteers, to go away on a vacation? Usually the conversation goes like this. Hey, Pastor, we're going to be gone next month for 2 weeks because we're going on a vacation. Oh, where are you going? I'm not listening to a word you're saying because I'm freaking out right now. What am I going to do for 2 weeks without you? That sounds like fun. And when are you coming back? Let's change that conversation. Hey, I appreciate you guys so much for your willingness to serve, the way you're impacting, but I want to encourage you. Do you have a family tradition? Do you have a way of going away as a family and having a vacation? Because you've been here every single Sunday. And I would love it if you guys, I mean, yes, we love that you're at church. Yes, we love that you serve, but go away for a week and spend some time together as a family. Where do you want to go? Encourage them. You want to shock a volunteer? Encourage them to take a Sunday off, but not just to take a Sunday off and sleep, to go somewhere as a family and create a family tradition. The look on their face, I love it. All right, we celebrate yearly things like birthdays. Birthdays are a big deal in our house. We take a full birthday week. We celebrate it, have fun, do lots of things. You get to pick your food and all the different things with it. We want to make it a big deal. You got a little bit older, but we're celebrating it together. You know, I have a pastor friend once who he does something for the whole church because birthdays are important to him. So he wants birthdays to be important for the church. We're all a big family, right? Once a month is birthday Sunday. And if you have a birthday this month, we celebrate you on that week. Okay, we don't individually try to hit everybody, but that week, if it's your birthday this month, you come, we put a sticker on you. Everybody says, happy birthday to you. And if you're older, you're an adult or a student, you get a little present. Maybe it's a free drink at the coffee shop or a little Bible or something to encourage you. If you're a kid, you get a toy. We sing happy birthday to everybody. It is one of the most attended weekends of the month. Why? People like to be celebrated. They like that tradition. You know what? We're a church family. Let's have a family tradition of celebrating birthdays together. Make it a big deal. Okay, but what about all that pagan stuff, Pastor Tony? You said we were going to get into that. Hey, I'm so glad you asked, because you have been waiting this whole time to see what I was going to say, so you could put a comment underneath and give me your opinion, right? Go ahead, put that comment there. But before we get into the religious holidays, let's talk about some of the big ones, at least here in America. Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a holiday that a lot of Americans celebrate. Canada also celebrates it, just a different month of the year. For us, it's a holiday where we celebrate really the roots of America, some of our religious freedoms that we have. For us, we pause and we give thanks to God. We spend time with family. Okay, we kill a turkey. When we were in California for a while, we ate a whole bunch of different kinds of food on Thanksgiving besides turkey. We spent time with family, with friends. And we gave thanks for what God did in our lives. So for us, we sit around that table, and it's not who can eat the fastest. It's who wants to share something they're thankful for that God's done for them this year. And then we look forward to what God has in the future, the hope that we have in Him. How about Independence Day? In America, that's when we celebrate our independence, July 4th. For my family, man, here in town, they have open access to the fairgrounds. There's food trucks there. And then once the sun goes down, they let off fireworks and they blow stuff up for like 40 minutes. Okay, and they play music and it's just a lot of boom, boom, boom. And we love it. We love it because we get to hang out as a family. We get to eat some unhealthy food together. We sit around. We actually bring Uno cards or something else and spend time around a table hanging out. We enjoy our time as a family together. And now Independence Day has become a family tradition for us, a family hanging out together, staying up late, watching things go boom in the sky, and celebrating our independence as a family to live in this country. Pastor, I want you to remember there are people in your congregation without family. There are staff members in your congregation without family around. So on those holidays like Labor Day, Memorial Day, New Year's Eve, Super Bowl Sunday, not really a holiday, but we kind of count it as one. You've got families in your church that are alone. You've got other families that love hospitality, love hosting parties. Well, connect them together. Give them the opportunity to create some family traditions within the church. Hey, on Super Bowl Sunday, these 5 families get together and they have fun. What a great time to invite a new family to your church. Get them engaged, get them connected, create some church family traditions. And the best part is, you don't have to be in charge of it. You don't have to buy the food for it. In fact, there was a family that was in one of the churches we were at that every Super Bowl, they did a big party at their house. And they invited us every year, and they would tell us, Pastor, don't bring anything. We want you just to come and have fun because you bring stuff to everything you do. And you know what? We had fun. Those were some good ribs, let me tell you. All right, so let's shift into some religious holidays and some of the family traditions that go with that, okay? So if you don't know, many of the holidays on our calendar today actually came from Catholic traditions or celebrations that generally were rooted in other pagan holidays. As Catholicism grew, a lot of times they took celebrations or holidays of the natives, the people that they were going to, and they would incorporate that into their belief. And with that, it's not a secret that some of the holidays that we celebrate come with a pagan history, pagan roots that come with it. For example, Christmas is filled with all kinds of pagan rituals like trees, aspects of Santa, some of the decorations that we do, some of the songs that are sang. Okay, I mean, surprise, Jesus was not born on December 25th. Okay, there was a different holiday that was celebrated on December 25th, and they just snagged it. They grabbed it, they stole it, and they called it Jesus' birthday. Okay, when we get to heaven on December 25th, we're not going to have a birthday party for Jesus, okay? What about the whole commercialization of Christmas? So do we throw the whole thing out? Do we only push the spiritual stuff? Do we pick and choose? Okay, well, I'm going to come back to Christmas in just a minute. Okay, but let's dive into some of the other things, and hopefully you can hear my heart on this. Let's look at Valentine's Day for a minute. We're not even close to February, Pastor Tony. I know, but let's look at Valentine's Day. What's Valentine's Day to you? Well, let's see. It's a time that we celebrate. There's lots of pink hearts and red hearts and roses, and it costs a lot of money. And yeah. Okay. In Catholicism, it's a reminder of a date when 3 different saints were martyred. In Rome, it was a pagan holiday called Lupercalia to celebrate the goddess of marriage, Juno, and also a giant wolf that somehow nursed the founders of Rome to life or something like that. Okay. Not exactly what I think of when I think of Valentine's Day, right? I mean, it's definitely not hearts and chunky cherubs shooting arrows into people. Is it evil? Is it something that we should even be celebrating? It sounds kind of bad. Well, it could be a family tradition, can it? I mean, I know churches that do marriage nights during this season and help spouses connect again. Maybe you do a babysitting night and give presents to couples who've been married the longest. So the fact is, marriage is a holy institute. I mean, it was created by God, and we should be celebrating it year round. So if our culture celebrates it during a certain season of the year, let's definitely make sure we take advantage of that and celebrate marriages. Okay, well, what do we do on Valentine's? Well, we don't do anything for the Roman goddess Juno or wolves or anything like that, but we do make sure we focus on the importance of marriage. I know in our church, we always did events for our married people, for those that were married and looking for ways to keep their marriage strong. Usually in January, we would do some kind of a marriage concept or retreat or conference. We would do that to help them remember, hey, February is coming up. Okay, this year is coming up. Let's celebrate your marriage. During February, we might do a babysitting night or a night when the kids, something for the kids to do so that couples could go out and enjoy that date night together. We're going to do anything we can to talk about having a healthy marriage. So let's talk about me. In my home, man, I am blessed that I have a wife who could care less about Valentine's Day. You're like, well, what? Yeah, I mean, I don't have to buy those expensive roses. We don't have to go wait in an hour and a half line to get some food that's, doesn't even taste really good and costs twice as much as usual. There's not the stress of that day and finding the perfect card when the cards have all been picked through. But we do have a family tradition with our kids. On the morning of Valentine's, we get up and we do breakfast together. Usually I make pancakes and bacon, and I put some red food color in the pancakes and make them all pink color. And I might buy a chocolate for the kids or maybe a rose for my girls. I mean, we do things to let them know, hey, we are romantic. We celebrate life. This is just another day of the year. And maybe their spouse someday might think it's a big deal and want to make a tradition out of it. So we're at least setting them up for success. But they know within our home, the tradition is a fun breakfast. And then we hurry and get to school on time, right? Okay, let's talk about St. Patrick's Day. Well, actually, this has nothing to do with a pagan holiday. It was made by the church to celebrate a miracle. This is one of those great holidays. So then why does everybody drink themselves to death that night? Yeah, I mean, isn't that funny how we change things, right? Well, we can have fun. You can pinch each other. You can wear certain colors. Okay, you can do fun things based on the ethnic group that you're in. I mean, us Anglo people, we get weird sometimes their holidays. And so on that subject, if you come from a different culture and you have traditions that are not Western European, share them. Share them with the people in your church. Celebrate them. I mean, my daughter loves the Japanese culture. And so we've been learning some of their different holidays and why they celebrate them and going, should we start to incorporate some of that into what we do? Because we enjoy learning about other cultures and celebrating what they do. There are some great family traditions in other cultures in your church. Learn from them. Let's all grow together. All right. Are you ready to get to the big three that cause all the controversy? Thank you for holding on this long. We're finally there. Easter, Christmas, and Halloween. Dun, dun, dun. All right. Which one do you want to talk about first? Halloween? All right. Let's talk about Easter. Okay. Easter is when the church celebrates the resurrection of Jesus after the Passover weekend. A Jewish holiday. Okay. 3 days later, Jesus is alive. And we have all kinds of fun with that. It's connected to a Jewish holiday, but it's also connected to a English holiday, a Celtic holiday. Okay, Easter comes from a word that I can't even begin to pronounce. That was a name of an English goddess of fertility, and she took on the shape of a rabbit. Oh, that's where the Easter bunny comes from. Well, what about eggs? Well, eggs are all over history. I mean, different cultures have used eggs for all kinds of things besides to eat them. I mean, in the ancient Persian civilization, they would actually decorate eggs for New Year and give them away as gifts. So we decorate eggs. I guess that's a Persian element to it. Nothing really pagan about it. It's just a gift. Well, what about churches that have Easter bunny and Easter eggs and all of this stuff? Well, to be honest, a typical person doesn't know all of that stuff. Have I ever had an Easter bunny at church? Honestly, I haven't, because their costumes are creepy to me. Okay, it's a little weird having somebody dressed up in a bunny outfit, but I've had pictures of rabbits up. We've done Easter egg hunts. And you know what I found out? More people get saved on Easter than any other Sunday of the year. I'm sorry, Resurrection Sunday than any other Sunday of the year. Because we do fun things on Easter. We celebrate it. People go to church on Easter. So if I can make it fun for them to come, if they end up getting an egg, if they end up doing an egg hunt with thousands of eggs out in the middle of a field, perfect. Okay, whatever gets them to come where they can hear about the Word of God. But there's some pagan elements in there. We don't talk about that. We celebrate the Jewish aspect of that and the Christian aspect of that Jesus is alive. Okay, Halloween. Are you ready? I mentioned it earlier. It's also known as Reformation Day, when Martin Luther took his stand. It's also the day before the Catholic holiday, All Saints' Day. It's also a Celtic pagan festival. I mean, trick-or-treating was a tradition, where they would sacrifice children, right? Well, yeah. But it was also another tradition where it was an evening where kids who were poor, families that didn't have any money, could go to homes and beg for food, ask for food. Okay, and they would get given presents or food from wealthier homes. Well, that doesn't sound so bad. Guess it depends which culture you came from. But I think most people would say, for all intents and purposes, Halloween is a holiday that celebrates fear, evil, and the power of darkness. What's in theaters right now? What costumes are out right now, the majority of them? What decorations are out right now? I mean, there are decorations that are cute. There are decorations with pumpkins. There are decorations with cats and bats. And then there's a lot of other decorations. I'm not going to say that this isn't a time when evil is celebrated. It is definitely celebrated. I mean, if you want to find out more about it, you've got a search engine, look it up. Otherwise, jump on social media. Somebody's got to post about it out there, how bad Halloween really is. But remember, we're talking about family traditions. Now, I've been on staff at churches where we do lots of different things, different churches over the years, churches that I've worked with over the years. Some of them did harvest parties. In fact, I was at a church with multiple campuses, which meant multiple harvest parties. Some do trunk or treating, where they're teaching kids to take candy out of the back of strangers' cars. That's kind of weird, but it works for them. I've been at churches that do nothing. In fact, I remember one year as a kid on Halloween, we did an all-night prayer night. Yeah, that was a lot of fun for a kid. That's what we did, okay? There are all kinds of things you can do. Some give out flyers or tracts that people can give out to others when they're trick-or-treating. And some, they just leave it up to the people. They don't want to discuss it because they're afraid what somebody might post on social media. Well, I want to pause for a minute and remind you that we're all about family traditions. And so for your church, I want to encourage you to create a family tradition. Maybe for that is harvest festivals. Maybe that is trunk or whatever that may be. Turn it into a family tradition and not just a night to serve. So in my life, in our family's life, after a decade of going to harvest festivals and harvest parties where they've got the cheapest candy in the world, come on, churches, we need to step up our candy process, right? We have a tradition in our family. Now what we do is we decorate our house, okay? And we give out good quality candy to the kids that come up to the door. And our house is not scary, but it's fun. Okay, and they come up, and as we hand out candy, we say, God bless you. Okay, we let them know that God loves them. And then after that's over, I take my kids to the grocery store, and they get to pick out a $3 candy bar of their choice. They've had enough of the cheap stuff, Werther's Originals and peppermint circles and all of that stuff. They get a nice big candy bar that they get to pick out and enjoy that evening. That's our family tradition. You see, my family tradition is more important than the pagan holiday that's celebrated that night. All right, one last one. Let's dabble. Okay, let's look at Christmas. I mentioned earlier some of the challenges around Christmas, and the world keeps changing, right? I mean, everyone has a holiday at the end of December. Happy holidays. Which one should we celebrate? There's winter solstice, there's Hanukkah, there's Kwanzaa, there's Three Kings Day. There are 11 different holidays celebrated during that time of year. There's even a Buddhist holiday mixed into it. Santa's bad, but Saint Nick is okay. Presents are good, but commercialization is bad. Do we sing? What songs do we sing? What are we allowed to sing? Even the Christmas movies. There's actually some horror Christmas movies out there. What do we watch? What don't we watch? Then we as Christians, we go a little bit crazy, right? I mean, we do like living nativities with actual camels. Okay, we have concerts and chorales and singing Christmas trees and little kids in bathrobes. And you know what? None of that stuff's found in the Bible. I mean, yeah, there were some shepherds on a hill, but the next year they didn't do it again to celebrate it. Okay, it's just our way of having fun during that time of year. Then there's Christmas Eve services. Are they traditional? Are they a concert? Are they acoustic and laid back family style? What do you do if Christmas falls on a Sunday? One of the biggest questions churches have. Do we have church? Do we not have church? Why wouldn't you have church on? Well, people have their family traditions. You see, family traditions during the holiday season for us is that we watch Christmas movies together. We rearrange our house so that the couch can sit facing the TV so we can watch those movies together. And we make a list of them. We check them off as we go. We decorate the house. We take a full weekend and I pull out 47 tubs. I'm not exaggerating. 47 tubs of Christmas decoration, and we decorate the whole place. My wife has got 7 different Christmas trees. Now, they don't all go up every year, but we decorate our house. Oh, and Christmas cookies, you got to make those, right? And certain meals that you have during the Christmas season, and we all eat them together. We decorate those cookies together. We have some very interesting cookies that have been made over the years based on what the kids liked or didn't like. We buy presents for a family in the church. Usually there's a family in the church that's in need, somebody that doesn't have it as well off as we do. And so we go as a family, we buy some presents specifically for their family, for their kids. On Christmas Eve, we sneak over, we put the presents in front of the door, ring the doorbell, and run. It's a surprise they enjoy. We never tell them we did it, but our kids got to see, hey, we're going to put other people first. Then we open presents. We spend time with family. We spend all day in our pajamas. We sleep in on Christmas. How funny is that? It's what our family does. We remember the birth of Jesus. We sit down at our meal and we remember what Jesus did for us. We celebrate it. And if there's an opportunity, we go to church. See, Christmas in our home is a family tradition. It doesn't matter about all the other things. In fact, if my family was ever to have somebody who was unsaved, somebody who didn't believe in Jesus, I would want them to still feel welcome in our family traditions. Yeah, we're going to talk about Jesus. Yeah, we're going to celebrate it. But we're also going to make sure that they know they're part of our family tradition. So in closing, can I just suggest we stop fighting over what events on the calendar we should or shouldn't do? We make everything spiritual. It's either good or bad. I mean, water skiing, it's helping you get ready to be baptized, or we're celebrating ancient water fairies. It's just water skiing, for crying out loud. Stop negating family traditions for fear of pagan practices. Start some family traditions. Yearly traditions, religious traditions, cultural traditions, family traditions. And as you spend time together, take time to remember and celebrate what God has done in your life and what He's going to do.